Hi guys, welcome to Interior Insights. I'm Jane, an interior designer, and we are standing in an incredible historic pasta factory in Zeitz, a city that is located in Germany a few hours away from Berlin. And today we are going to look at an incredible industrial and rustic loft. This building used to be a pasta factory and belonged to a Mr. Emmerling, who produced his pasta and dough here, and he built this building in 1909. And in 1953, with the beginning of the GDR, the German Democratic Republic, the pasta factory was expropriated and nationalized and turned into just a government factory. And after the reunification, so after the fall of the wall in Berlin, there was nothing left of the pasta factory. And it was only in 2016 when a couple decided to buy this old historic factory that was completely run down. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe, and let's go have a look at the loft. When designing this loft, the couple really wanted to keep the historic charm and respect the history of this former pasta factory. And so they tried to intrude as little as possible into the historic structure that we have today. And so the floor is still original from 1909, and it has a lot of patina and just this very industrial loft character. The walls are also unplastered and give you this little historic connection to the building's history. And I still think it's absolutely crazy that inside these four walls, where today people live, once there used to be a pasta factory. The loft itself has a long, square, rectangular floor plan to give the room some structure and to create different zones. We have this newly built block, and inside it we actually have the bathroom that has also been beautifully designed. This is the only new piece of architecture and new walls that have been put inside this loft, and you can also see just by the change of materials that the history is respected and that the newly built walls aren't trying to imitate history, but that they are in fact just plastered walls. As soon as we come into the space, we can see that we have a radiant room with a lot of free light flooding inside the design. There's a large window that's still original from 1909 that lets the light flood in and just gives this loft its historical character. Over here we have the seating area, and we have a very classical design of a tulip table, and it just feels very lightweight, and it is accompanied by a gooby lamp. I'm sure all of you know it. And this just creates a very lightweight, free-flowing and modern design. If you're interested in elevating your own personal design at home and just creating an even more coherent design story for your own personal home, I've created a free guide where I share my biggest and simplest design tips that I've learned on my journey. You can go get it, the link's in the description, or you can just scan the QR code. As for the color palette, because the historical structure of the building wasn't manipulated and we just have a light gray floor, white and brown walls, the only way to add a sense of pop of color and to add some freshness was with the furniture. So it's all of the furniture pieces, like these vintage chairs, that add the pop of color and tie the design together. Another way that the designer added freshness and a sense of life in these walls is by using a lot of plants and placing them mindfully. On this wall we have an abstract green artwork of a woman, and in front of it we have a plant placed, and to me it seems like the plant is almost coming out of the painting, and it just creates a beautiful, lively composition. Over here we have the sofa area, and the L-shaped sofa was also tucked in the natural niche that we have. And you can see that the designer didn't try to force their design onto the structure of the building and onto the floor plan, but they really looked at the structure and took inspiration from it and just adapted to what they have. And I am obsessed with all of the patina that we have on the walls, all of the details that weren't covered up, because this loft isn't about being perfect, but just living in these historic walls and appreciating the history of this former pasta factory, but at the same having the comfort of our modern times and having high quality furniture. And you can again see that we have a very calming background with a lot of different neutrals and with this very rich plaster and patina. And to add a colorful accent and to create this little wow moment in the design, we have a colorful abstract painting, and this crisp and bright yellow and white is one of my favorite color combinations because it just creates this very crisp, awake design. When you look at it, you can't help but feel like you just drank a shot of espresso. Over here we have the sleeping area, and the bed was tucked inside the natural corner that we have because of the floor plan. And it creates a very cozy, comfortable design. And as soon as you wake up, you still have the sunlight shining in your face, and you can just wake up and experience the spaciousness of these walls. Now, because a bedroom is always a place where you want to calm down and cozy up before you go to sleep, to give the bedroom area some more coziness, there was a lot of work done with different types of textures. So we have a lot of pillows as well as a thickly textured carpet that just adds this extra layer of coziness. What I love about the space is the fact that the designer didn't shy away from placing a lot of artworks all over the walls. And the modern art just pops off of the historic background, and you just have this beautiful juxtaposition of the old historic structure of the building and the modern, colorful, eclectic art. You might have already noticed that all around the walls and even on top of the ceiling, we have all of these little black electrical wires hanging, and they again give the room their own sense of structure. And the reason why the designers did this is, before I told you that they wanted to affect the historic structure of this building as little possible. And so instead of opening up all of the historic walls and hiding the electricity lines behind them, they decided to keep them visible, to not destroy or touch any of the historic structure of the building. And this is just a very respectful approach to designing and renovating a building that has once been forgotten. And I absolutely love how the black lines also give the entire design their own little frames and just create this extra layer inside the design. Over here we have a fully functional, very spacious kitchen. You can see that this area serves two functions. On the one hand, it's a hallway, but at the same time, it's the place where you cook for your friends or cook for yourself. The kitchen is very minimalistic and blends into the background and into the historical structure of the building. We have a white backsplash and a wooden countertop. It's modern, clean, and just serves your everyday functions. On top of the kitchen, we have a little shelf where a lot of different objects are placed, and they again really add this touch of personality. On this historic wall, we have a lot of old photographs from when the couple bought this old pasta factory and before they decided to renovate it. So that's quite cool that here you have a little gallery of the history of the building. Now let me show you the bathroom, because the bathroom really is one of a kind. As I told you before, these walls that are covered in plaster were added and are not from 1909. And the reason for it is just to have this closed bathroom in this otherly open loft. We have a very clean, minimal, but also interesting design language. Over here above the sink, we can still see the original orange bricks, and they just add this industrial charm. And on top of it, we have a modern round mirror placed. And in general, there's a lot to explore in the bathroom. We have a gigantic sink that is entirely made from a big slab of stone. And all of the materials are very natural and high quality. And for the tiles, we have small white tiles that remind us of the 50s or 60s, but they have this very unstructured patina that again add this more industrial feel to them. As a separation for the vanity and the shower, we have these big industrial windows that are also framed by these steel frames, and they again add this industrial ambience to them. So yes, if you want to read up more on the history of the Nudelfabrik, the former pasta factory, and the amenities that they have here today, you can check out the link to their website in the description. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know in the comments how you liked the designer icons and the vintage furniture inside these historical walls of the former factory. If you haven't subscribed yet, go and subscribe right now. We even filmed a bigger loft inside the factory, and you should go check it out up here.